Today I'm going to show you how to edit a gaming montage really quickly using Wondershare Filmora 11, the sponsor of today's video. So to start off, you obviously need to have some recorded footage and a song that you want to add to your montage. And the reason why we're doing that is because we are going to use Filmora's Auto Montage Maker. Then once you click Auto Montage Maker, you will get this window here. You want to import your video. I'm going to pick this one. Then you can have a length of your montage. I would start off with 15 seconds if this is your first time, but later on you can expand to longer and longer montages. Next up, we need to scroll down and you will see Beat Sync. Now, Filmora's fantastic feature, Beat Sync, allows you to sync up all your cuts and edits with the beat of the music. So in this case, you can click on this little folder thing here and choose a song that you want. In this case, I'm going to pick this song I found on the YouTube audio library. Now, if I just play it right now, it'll start at the beginning of the song. What I really want to do is I want to start kind of towards the middle of the song where there's a nice little die down point. So I'm going to drag the track and I'm just moving it over, and I just need to find the perfect spot that I want to start, which is going to be right here. So that works. I'm going to pause that. Now next up is this beat cut parameter here, and basically this is all trial and error for this part because it very much depends on your video. I'm playing Rocket League, which isn't a very fast game, and also my song itself is really fast. If I have Rocket League montage just instantly changing scenes and cutting every single time there's a beat, I'm going to have no idea what's going on. So in this case, I found actually the best for me is to use the second slowest. But once again, just feel free to mess around with these settings as you go through the trial and error phase of the Auto Montage Maker. If you scroll down some more, we have a couple of video effects. We have RGB, we have glow, TV wall, and blur. I'm just going to turn all of them on for now just to show you how they look like. And I'm going to click Analyze and Preview. And what this is going to do is automatically pick out highlights from your video and cue it up and kind of match it with the beat of your song. And once it's done analyzing, you will see that you now have a montage. The main thing with this specific montage maker is that you're always going to have to tweak a little bit of it if you want it to be exactly how you want. In this case, the song that I chose has a very dead and kind of quiet part at the start. I want that to be leading up to like a super cool goal, and then for the next part it can just be all montages of cool goals. Additionally, if I go to one of these clips here and I click play, you'll notice that it has a montage of me just about to score a goal, and then it cuts before I score the goal. So what we're going to need to do is we need to click Export to Timeline to bring it into our timeline. So once you click Export to Timeline, you will now have your whole entire montage on your timeline. If you go to the top right here and click on this little button, it'll expand your timeline to span across your whole entire screen. This is good if you have short montages and it makes it easier to see stuff. Now what I want to do is I want to go through the montage that Filmora automatically generated and just remove some clips that might not be appropriate or just don't have anything important in them. So in this case, if I play the start, this clip right here is just me driving. There's not a lot happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click it and press the delete key. Now you'll notice that all of the other clips move over to the left. If I press Ctrl Z to undo, we can actually make it so that when I press delete on this clip, it leaves a gap. And how do we do that? We need to go to the top left here and click on this little link thing and make this link broken. Then you can click on your clip, press the delete key, and you'll now have a blank space. Now I'm going to move on to the second part here, and I'll see that, okay, this person did score a goal, but it wasn't me, so it's going to be a little difficult to understand what's going on. And now for this third clip, if I scrub through it real quick, you'll notice that it's just one of my friends just shooting a goal, and it's really cool, but it gets cut off at the very end. To fix that, what I want to do is click on the clip, drag it up above the yellow stars, then I'm able to extend the duration just by going to the right of the clip, clicking on it, and dragging outwards. And what this allows me to do is just scrub through the rest of the footage, and I'll see that we actually skipped the end of the replay, but him flipping upside down and hitting the ball is pretty cool. So I'm going to keep that part of the clip, but right here I'm going to stop it. So what I'm going to do is go to the right side of the clip and just drag it to the playhead, just like that. Now, once I drag it to the right side, what I want to do is I want to put that clip right back into place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click it and drag it and move it down so it's just right where this little marker is. This marker is actually a beat marker that indicates when the song hits a beat where you transition. So if you see right here, if I unmute it, you see that when it had that little cowbell or whatever instrument it was, it transitioned to a new track. So like I said before, these little markers here indicate when there's beats, and generally speaking, if you have a transition occurring at these markers, it'll be in sync with the music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on our clip that we edited before, go to the front and click on it and drag it until it's in line with the marker. Now, if I turn on the audio and I click play, you'll notice when there was a beat change, the clip started playing. That's what we want to do for a lot of these clips. But once again, you're going to have some clips that just don't make sense. So for this next clip here, what actually happens is I score a goal, but we're looking at the replay. So I kind of want to go back in time and see me in my first person view shooting the goal. So I'm going to click on the clip, drag it up. I'm going to click on the start of the video clip, and I'm going to drag it out as far as I can, or within reason. And then I'll scrub through this little video here to see the part where I actually hit the ball. In this case, I score the goal, go back a little bit, go back some more. In this case, I need to go back even further. But if you, for example, were stuck at the very end and you couldn't drag back any further, then what you need to do is just move the clip to the right and then drag it back some more so you can see back in time to see when you actually hit the ball and made your sweet play. So I'm going to want to start the clip here, so I'm going to drag the front to the playhead. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the front of this clip to be in line with this marker, but on the third track. So I'm just going to move it to the right until it snaps at that marker right there. Now the reason why I'm doing that is because if I scroll over to the right using the bar at the bottom, I can actually drag the end of the clip to be in line with the start of another clip. And once I'm done that, I can drag it right back down into the first video track. And now if I hit play and enable music, see, it looks a lot better. It starts making a lot more sense. Instead of it just me playing Rocket League, it's now showing goals. So we need to repeat that with every single clip. So in this case, my last couple of clips really didn't have anything good in it. It was it accidentally picked something that wasn't a goal. So we have all these blank spaces, and we obviously can't just release a video where it's black and then music and then a couple of Rocket League goals. It just doesn't make sense. So what we need to do is we just need to press the control key and then use our scroll wheel to zoom out of the timeline, or you can use these little buttons here. Then we need to go to our Rocket League clip, and we'll just need to drag it into the timeline. Then it's going to ask you the resolution or frame rate of this media does not match the settings of the project. What we want to do is we want to click match to media, because chances are you're probably recording in 60 FPS. It just makes sense. So what we want to do next is we want to find highlights in our video that we can insert into our pre-made montage. Now right here I score a goal, so if I click play, it's just at the very start and I hit it and it goes into the goal eventually. I feel like that'd be a really good way of kind of opening up the montage. So what I'm going to do is just scroll back to the start, and this is a pretty good point right here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on these little scissors, and it's going to split these clips up in half. And what that allows me to do is just delete all the garbage I had in here that didn't have any good footage. Then I can drag this whole entire clip back and then just keep working through it and start clipping out some of the highlights. Now at this point here, I make a really cool save, so I'm going to split the clip, and then I have all this random footage in here. What I can do is I can press the delete key and then move the timeline back, or what I can do is actually click on this little link thing here that's called auto ripple, and I can turn auto ripple on. So when I press the delete key, it will now automatically move the rest of the clip to where this playhead is. And that's generally a good thing to do when you're just cutting through footage, but when you have it with like audio and a whole bunch of other stuff, it can mess it up. So just keep that in mind and always pay attention. If you're pressing delete and it's messing things up, just click on this so that it is a broken chain. But if you're going through random footage, then make sure it's just linked together. So I picked out my final clips that I want to use for the montage. Now what I need to do is I need to make sure that this chain thing is broken, because if I press delete, I don't want everything to move around and get all messed up. So what I'm going to do is that at the start of this montage, there's a really quiet part of the song. And what I want to do is I want to have it kind of fade into the montage with a little bit of text to show like, oh, it's no text to speech, it's cool Rocket League montage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find one of my clips that has a very long intro that not a lot of things happen. So in this case, this is a little bit of a dribble. I'd like that to be highlighted a little bit more. then this is a quick clip. So I think this little clip here where my friend is doing a really cool aerial shot would be a great introduction into my montage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it up to the third video track. Then I am going to zoom in by pressing Control and scrolling in. Then I'm going to use the bar at the bottom to move the timeline to the left. Now if I click play, you'll notice that it's just playing. And then at some point he finally hits that really cool aerial shot. I want it right after he hits the aerial shot, I want it to transition into the next clip. So I'm going to look for the part where he actually hits the shot. Right here, it seems like a good point to cut. So I'm going to drag the end of the clip to the playhead. Then I am going to get the start of the clip and just drag it in a little bit so that I can line up the end of this clip with the marker right here. As you can see, this clip is lined up with the marker here. Then I'm going to click the start of the clip and drag it to the very start and move that to the first channel. Now, once I have that clip nestled in, I'm just going to fill out the rest of the montage to the very end, because ideally when you edit a video, you want your main footage to be already sorted out. Then you can start working on the details. That's just how I work, and I find it a little more convenient because you get all the boring grunt work done first, then you can get your creativity on with effects and cool colors and transitions and wavy text. So I finally filled out my timeline with just all the clips I need for the montage. So if I click play, then you'll notice that it's just video clips highlighted with the beat. There's some cool automatically generated effects, but it's not perfect. I want to add a little bit of my creative touch to it to make it my own montage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the start and I want to add in a nice little faded section with text that floats around and says like Rocket League or something cool like that. So to do that, the first thing that we want to do is we actually want to go to transitions, then we need to go to basic, and we just need to look for dissolve. Then we're going to drag it to the start of the clip, and what this is going to do is if I click play, you'll notice that it fades in from black. Now we can increase or decrease the length of this transition just by clicking on the transition here, then either dragging it outwards or inwards to change the duration. In this case, I'm going to make it a really slow fade, just like that. Then what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to click on titles. Then I just want to go to basic because I just want basic text. So I'm going to add this title, this default title, to my timeline just by clicking and dragging it. And I'm going to put it on the third track at the very top. Now what you want to do is you want to double click on your title here, and you get to put whatever you want. You're going to have a little menu here that gives you a lot of options. So in this case, I'm going to type out Rocket League because that was the name I was using when I was playing Rocket League. Then I am going to pick one of these cool text styles. I'm going to click this one here. Ooh, very fancy. So you can also change the font in itself just by clicking up here and picking a font. In this case, I'm using Railway Extra Bold Italic, and it looks pretty cool. Now, if you want to change where this is actually set, so in this case, I don't want it to be at the very center of the screen. I kind of want it to be a little up top. So I'm going to click on this little Y thing here, and I'm just going to drag it. And you get to drag it at the top or reposition it however you want. Now, let's say I'm not a huge fan of this. I can just go through all the different text styles and just see if there's anything that really makes sense to me. In this case, I actually really liked this one here, a Rocket League. Now, once you're done with it, you know, text just like this popping in is kind of amateur, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the title, then click on animation up here, and I get to add an animation. So in this case, I'm going to do up down. So I'm going to double click on it and it'll actually apply it to the text. Then I'm going to click OK. And what this is going to do is if I click play, it'll pop up and then it'll stay there. And at the very end, it'll disappear, which is pretty cool. But what I actually want to do is move it down just a tiny bit more because, you know, you always want to be a little picky with stuff like this. So I'm going to move it down a tiny bit more so it doesn't overshoot off the screen. And now if I click on the top right here to zoom into the timeline, if I click play, it'll pop up with the text. Now, if you want to change when the text disappears, so as you can see here, it kind of just disappears at some point, all you need to do is just click on the title and then drag the end of the clip out a little bit. And that would allow you to retime when certain things happen. So if I click play right now, it'll disappear and then there'll be a cut and it'll be the next clip. I think it looks really good. And at the start, if I don't want this to appear right away, I can actually just click the start of the title and drag it in a little bit. And now it'll be a black screen and then it'll pop up with Rocket League. So I'm not really liking the position of this text once again. So all I need to do is just click on the title, then double click on the title, then just change this to 0. the origin or the center of the screen is going to be 0, 0. Then I'm going to click OK, and now it'll appear at the middle of the screen, which I think kind of makes a little bit more sense. Now, how do we make this text shake? Well, at the very start, it just pops in, and then it just sits there and does nothing, and then it disappears. How do we make it shake? Well, what we need to do is we need to click on the title, then we need to go to Effects, and search for the Extreme effect. This Extreme effect, basically, if you hover over it and you click on it, you'll notice that it just shakes the text. Now, this is a lot of shaking, so we're going to change that. But what you need to do is just click on the effect and drag it above your title, and then make it be in line with your title. So just drag the end of the clip to match up with the title. Then we're going to click on Extreme and just double click on it. And you will see these parameters here. We can change the frequency, the position, and we can add motion blur or RGB separate. In this case, frequency is how fast it shakes. We are going to drag it down to a very slow value because I just kind of want it to float around a little bit. Just like that. Like, that looks pretty cool, you know? It's slightly floaty, and then it disappears. Now, next up, I'm going to add effects to accentuate goals and other cool things. So at the start of the montage, there's, you know, other things happening. What I really want to do is when my teammate hits the ball upside down, I want it to have a really cool effect. In this case, there is an effect after it, but it's a little bit delayed. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go to the point where he hits the ball right here. Then I'm going to click on this blur effect and just drag it so that the middle of it is on my playhead. If you notice, this can be a little tricky sometimes. So what you want to do is just press the Control key and zoom in. Then you can just move the effect into the middle of the playhead. And now if I click play, when I go back a little bit, when he hits the ball, it'll have that really cool blur effect. Now, I want this effect to be a little more accentuated. I want it to linger for a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the end of the clip and increase its duration. And you might try to do it with the front of the clip, but nothing will happen. And that's because sometimes effects can do this. So what you want to do is just extend the end time, then just drag it over so it's perfectly kind of extended in both directions. Same thing here, you just want to, once again, find cool parts, and sometimes the montage will do cool effects when you're not hitting the ball. That's just because it's Rocket League. Games are very variable, so it will never get it perfect, but it'll get it pretty darn close. So what I'm going to do is zoom in again, get this chromatic aberration effect, and move it into the center. Then when I hit the ball, it'll have the cool effect, as you see, just like that. Now there's this TV wall effect, which is probably my favorite, to be honest. And the way to actually add these effects is really simple. You need to click on the Effects tab, then go to Basic, and you have a whole bunch of effects to go through. This is probably Filmora's strongest feature. It's just having a lot of effects that you can choose from. So all you need to do is just search for TV wall. That's the TV wall effect right here. Chromatic aberration for this RGB kind of color split. Then for this, we have glow. So you can just search for glow in here, glow, and press enter, and it'll pop up with glow. It's the exact same effect. Then there's a blur as well, which gives you this effect here. So once again, just going to basic and typing in blur. And that will give you the basic kind of montage effects that it already gives you, but that doesn't limit you. You can actually pick any one of these. So in this case, what I want to do is maybe when I make a really cool save, instead of having this chromatic aberration, I'm going to delete it. Then I'm going to look at the point where I hit the ball. In this case, this menu pops up because my controller is broken, but we will ignore that, and I'm going to look for a cool effect to add here. Thankfully, Filmora has a whole bunch of effects that you can just quickly gloss through and find one that you like. In this case, I kind of like shadow just because it's kind of cheesy, and I like cheesiness in montages, so I'm just going to drag it over. It's going to automatically download it for me. Then once I do that, I'm just going to drag my final shadow effect down, and now if I click play, there we go. And once I do that, there's just one last thing I need to do, and that's fade out the video. If I go to the end of the video and click play, it just ends abruptly, and that's not very good for montages. So what I want to do is go back into transitions, go to the dissolve transition, and drag it to the end of the last clip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click play and see, does it fade out exactly how I want? That's pretty good. I maybe want to show a little bit more of the action of me juking this dude. So what I'm going to do is just click on the transition and drag it closer to the end, and that will decrease the duration of it. And now it'll fade out just with the music. Now, speaking of music, we can actually change the fade in and fade out behavior of the music. If I go to the very start of the montage, the music just picks up very quickly. Maybe I want it to be a little more smooth and fading in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the music. Then there's going to be this little white icon here. I'm going to click on it and just drag it. And that will increase the time it takes for the music to fade in. And now if I click play, the audio will fade in. Now to remove all the rocket car noises, we want to click on our first clip, then hold the shift key and click on our last clip, right click, go to audio, then click mute. And same thing at the end. I feel like that the audio ends a little too abruptly at the end. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click on it, then click on the white marker and just drag it in a little bit. Now, what is a montage without cool transitions? It's time to add some transitions. So if you go up to the transitions tab, and in the recommended tab, you will see a whole bunch of transitions that you can use. To start, if there is a little diamond on the top left, that means it is a premium transition. And if you want to filter by premium, standard, and free transitions, click on this little kind of dot array here to view options. Then you can view premium, standard, or free. If you click on free, you'll have all the free ones you can go through. And if you go back to it, you can pick premium or standard or whatever. In this case, I'm going to leave it disabled, and I'm going to find a transition that I really like. In this case, if I go to the warp tab, there are a lot of very, very kind of montage-y transitions. As you can tell, there's whirl and other things. In this case, I think I'm actually going to pick warp zoom number 4, and I'm going to have that transition in between these two clips. Now, it is a very large transition, so if I click on it, I can actually increase and decrease the duration of the transition. So if I want it to be very long, I just need to drag it out. If I want it to be very short, I just need to drag it in. In this case, I want it to be very short and snappy. Now, once I add in the transition and I click play, you'll notice that it lags and I can't really see the transition. Now, I have a pretty gamer computer, and I've even tried to change the resolution of the preview here by clicking on full, and you can decrease this to improve your performance. But once again, with these very complex warp zooms, the best way to preview it is actually just get your playhead and slowly run it across, and you can kind of see how it'll act. So that's a pretty cool transition. It spins around, and it has a blur, and it goes into the next clip. Very cool. And finally, this is the final product. I am no montage expert at all, and that's pretty slick. Once you have your whole entire montage edited, all you need to do is just click export and click create video and export it. It's not that difficult, but that is it. That is how you create your video gaming montage with whatever game you want using Wondershare Filmora 11 and their really fantastic automatic montage generator. It lays down a whole bunch of foundation, which makes it a heck of a lot easier and quicker to make a montage without having to do all this hard work. This is pretty good. You get 80% of the way there very quickly versus doing it all custom by hand and huge mess. Anyways, I'd like to thank Wondershare for sponsoring this video. And if you want to try out Filmora 11, there will be a link in the description that you can use. Good luck, sweetheart, and have fun making your montages. I love you. Mwah!